If you have the slightest hint of Soulsborne games, then you must have heard about how painstakingly difficult those games are. From bosses one-shotting you to having huge health bars, these games are not for the faint of hearts. Following a similar trend, FromSoftware has released their next title in the Soulsborne franchise, Elden Ring. Let's dive into Elden Ring and find out how difficult it truly is. First, we have a synopsis. Soulsborne titles are not often known for their narratives. Often players are left using item descriptions and other written text throughout the game to piece together the lore of each story. However, with George R.R. Martin behind the narratives as the backstory in charge, we do have a more fleshed out story this time around. Taking from its title, the Elden Ring plays a crucial role in the story as the player embarks on a journey to retrieve it. But what happened initially? Well, Queen Marika the Eternal was the ruler of the lands between, where the story takes place. However, when the Elden Ring broke, she was nowhere to be found, and her offspring took shards of the ring to engage in conflicts amongst one another. With the wars leading nowhere, it was decided that he who shall have the Elden Ring shall be declared the Elden Lord. Quite the title, and that's where the story of our protagonist begins. Our character is known to be part of a group known as the Tarnished. The Tarnished are a group of exiled people who lived under the grace of the Erd Tree. The giant glowing tree can be seen from almost anywhere on the map. As one of the Tarnished, the player must collect the Elden Ring shards to claim the Elden Lordship. Indeed, a long journey. The concept sounds fantastic and sets up some of the hardest bosses, the demigods, perfectly to fit the narrative. Next, the different classes which affect the difficulty. The combat in Elden Ring is quite profound. Although we'll dive into the combat mechanics later, it's important first to discuss a significant factor that can dictate your early game combat style, and that is the class system. It's worth mentioning that the class system will not decide which weapons you can or cannot use, it simply affects your initial stats. Of course, you can have a complete shift in stats and your playstyle later. With 10 different classes to choose from, there are various styles to be picked from. For example, a samurai is initially given a katana and a bow, making ranged and sword combat good but weak in the magical department. Alternatively, you can be an astrologer and sacrifice some raw strength for magic. If you want your first few hours of the game to go smoothly, you need to ask yourself which kind of combat you prefer and choose your starting class accordingly. In fact, we'd say that picking a suitable class is most vital for players who are new to FromSoftware's games. Ahead lies a journey in which not even the lower level enemies will spare you, so getting any extra edge in combat is a must. For this very purpose, many gamers recommend the Vagabond class. It has the largest health bar out of all the other classes, allowing new players to get adjusted to the dodging mechanics of the game. With high strength and dexterity, Vagabond is an excellent class for melee combat. The Vagabond comes with a longsword and halberd, allowing one to deal significant damage while also keeping a distance from enemies. All of these factors make it a great class for beginners and even experienced players. Up next, the hard-to-grasp combat. Elden Ring, or in fact any Soulsborne combat, seems quite simple. Stay alive. A task as simple as that is the most challenging element of the combat in Elden Ring. With enemies employing dirty tricks and crazy attack patterns all over you, if you can simply stay alive, then you've won the battle in our eyes. But to go deeper, the combat can be broken into two major parts: attack and defense. However, during battle, there are a few stats that you need to keep your eye on if you do not wish to be utterly crushed. These are your health, of course, stamina, and focus points. Health is self-explanatory, but stamina and focus points are something that new players get confused about. Stamina is essentially the bar that you need to perform any action like attack, dodge, or some sort of magical spell. Focus points are required to perform special abilities like magical spells or summons. Although stamina recovers quickly by itself, you need items to help recover your focus points and health. These are recovered by using the sacred flasks that the player gets. The potency and number of uses these flasks provide can be increased by consuming sacred tears and golden seeds found throughout the map. Sounds complicated thus far, right? Well, we have only just begun. Next, we have defending yourself. As we mentioned, defense is a crucial part of combat. It is what may separate you from the warriors that have fallen before you. Defense mainly entails dodging, rolling to avoid any attacks. This role gives you invincibility frames, which is basically a short time span in which you do not get inflicted with any sort of damage. Your equipment load can affect this period, with a light load giving you the most and a heavy load giving you the least time, making it harder to dodge. Generally, it is advised to stay in between. You can increase the load your player can handle by investing points into endurance. Next up, melee attacks. Melee is quite complex in Elden Ring, and you mostly get the hang of it as you play along. But to put it simply, there are light attacks and heavy attacks. You can hold down the attack button to charge it with more stamina and inflict more damage. Additionally, you can have dual-wielded weapons and perform jumping attacks as well. The main aim with melee is to look for an opening after an enemy's attack or to retaliate with attack of your own after a successful block. Are the bosses really that tough? You could be thinking, how tough could the bosses really be? It is just a game after all. Well, besides the memes and ongoing jokes about players breaking their screens and controllers over Soulsborne games, let us tell you that they are definitely demanding. The first major boss that you run into in Elden Ring is Margit the Fell Omen. This tower of a swordsman is quick on his feet with his relentless combos. He is able to drain you of your stamina and health before you even properly get your head in the fight. Many of your earlier game weapons are almost no match towards him, and with this fight, you truly realize what you have gotten yourself into. What might make it more discouraging for the players is that this boss is not even the most significant one of the game. There are still 4 major demigods to be found and dungeons to be explored. It has been reported that only 63% of the players have beaten Margit as of yet. That is hardly more than half the player base. Quite insane. Now, that is just a boss that we were talking about. Even common enemies can become a challenge, especially in groups. Your path will often be blocked by enemies much larger than you, such as trolls. The experience can feel punishing, yet rewarding, as you get through each fight, giving you a sense of accomplishment. However, if you continue to struggle and simply get frustrated by the game, there are ways to make the game easier. How to make the game easier? One new aspect of the game, which was not heavily explored in previous titles, is the sheer size of the open world in Elden Ring. To give perspective, there are many regions on the entire map. Each region is the size of 3 to 4 areas in previous FromSoftware titles. This means that if a boss is completely destroying you, you can simply call your horse and ride off elsewhere. Exploring other parts of the game will allow you to level up, get better loot, and come back with higher stats to give yourself a better chance. Leveling up your characters is a simple process in Elden Ring. You fight enemies, they drop runes, and then you can invest these runes into either buying items or leveling up your character. Once you level up, you can use the skill points to increase either your health, attack power, endurance, or other skills. Alternatively, you can call for help using the Spirit Calling Bell. This unlockable item grants you the ability to summon spirits to help aid you in battle. These spirits have health bars of their own and fight alongside you. Although the damage they deal is not significant, they serve as great distractions, allowing you to get the jump on enemies or to heal. However, do be careful, as this item can easily be missed. You can get it from the NPC Rena, the witch in the Church of Ella, at night. Alternatively, you can get the item through the Twin Maiden husks in the Round Table Hold if you miss her. Furthermore, you can even use the co-op feature to invite your friends over to fight bosses together, making the fights significantly more manageable and fun. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Elden Rings is way too difficult? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.